Hi, today I'm going to show you how to do a hand stitch called the ladder stitch. It's a great stitch for sewing openings, hand stitching openings closed, such as in pincushions, stuffed animals, and it's even a great stitch for hand stitching the binding to the back of your quilt. So let's get started. First of all, I wanted to show you that before you go to turn whatever you're making to stuff and then hand stitch it closed, I have a little tip for you. And you know how you stitch all the way around and then you leave an opening for turning? Before you go to turn it, a great tip is, and I find it very helpful for me, is to take it and fold back that opening where the stitching is, or would have been, fold it, and then press right along there, turn it, and press the other side right where the stitching is. And you'll have a really nice, smooth finish after it's turned right side out, and you won't even be able to tell where the beginning or where the opening was when you stitched it, because it'll be equally folded, and you won't have to worry about folding that, to get it equal and even, and it just makes life a lot easier. So let's get started. We're going to just use a little mini square, 3-inch square that we did. Sewed together, we stuffed it, and here's our opening. And see how nice that looks because I pressed it. I pressed it first, and it just makes a very even, smooth closure. So what we're going to do first is I'm going to teach you how to do a quilter's knot, because it makes it, it's a small knot, but it doesn't come undone, and you don't need a real bulky knot because we want to be able to pop it through to hide our knot into the stuffing so we don't see any knots. So how you do a quilter's knot is you take the end of your thread, the needle's threaded, you take the end and you put it between your thumb and your index finger, and then you'll place the needle on top of the end of the thread, and you're just going to twist it around 2-3 times. Hold all the thread between your thumb and index finger, and then you're just going to pull up that needle, and you will end up with a really nice small knot, quilter's knot. And if there's excess, all you have to do is just snip it off. And we're going to take this, and sometimes it's a good way to just, push that stuffing out of the side. Now I'm left-handed, so I'm going to be stitching from left to right. If you're right-handed, you're probably going to want to stitch from right to left. But you just do the stitch the same way, the same concept. So how I'll start it is I'm going to take my needle, and here's the opening, and I'm just going to put it through a little bit and grab a little of that stuffing and come out to the opposite side, the farthest fold of the opening, and come as close to the fold as I can, and bring it up, and then just pop that knot right into the stuffing, and you won't ever see where that was, like that. Then you're going to come, and directly where your thread is coming out, you're going to go across into the other fold, the other side of the opening, and you want to travel a little bit into the fold, about 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch, and pull it through. And I'm using black thread so you can see the stitching. Normally I would have chosen to use a white thread. Whatever your fabric color is, that's the color thread you want to choose. Then we're going to go back to the other side, right where that thread came out, and we're going to go across to the other side and grab a little bit of that fold once again. Oops. And travel, about 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch through. And you can see that when you pull that taut, the stitches just disappear. Then we're going to come again to the other side, go right to where that thread's coming out from that side to the other fold, and grab just a little bit of the fold again. Same, then to the other side and grab a little bit of that fold. Come up, and after 2 or 3 stitches, then I just pull it taut, and see how it just closes so nicely. You can't even see any stitching. It really is a great stitch for this, and it's strong. The smaller apart that you do your stitches, like 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch, it'll just be stronger for the opening. And especially if you're doing stuffed animals and you have some little ones that play kind of rough, that's not going to come undone. And go back through the other fold and go straight across to where that thread came out. That's where you know where to put your needle, and go back across the fold. And you just continue going back and forth that way. And then through here. And now I'm getting to the end of my opening, and I'll show you how to finish it off. And what I do is I just will go back across like that, and then I'll come back through, and I'll travel just a little bit into the stuffing, and then do a quilter's knot. And how you can accomplish that is you just take the end of the thread, wrap it around your needle again. You want to kind of make a loop so it won't get knotted, and just pull that needle, and then you'll have your knot right here, right here. And then where that thread's coming out, just go back into that same spot, pull it through in the stuffing, pop it through, and you have your completed opening. And see how easy and clean and pretty that looks. Then you can redo your stuffing and get it equal. But that's how you do the ladder stitch. Basically all the ladder stitch is just a back and forth design, going back and forth. This is where you would be traveling through the fold, going straight across, traveling on the other side of the fold, back straight across, and continuing to the end. I hope you enjoyed learning to do the ladder stitch. It's a great stitch for the purpose of sewing openings closed. And don't forget that tip of pressing your seam down before you turn whatever you're working on, because it really will make life easier. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. I hope it helps you, and happy quilting!